Now, viewers, moving ahead, a major controversy has erupted around JPMorgan Chase, with a senior executive at the center of serious allegations. The former employee filed a lawsuit accusing Executive Lorna Hajidini of sexual harassment, coercion and racial abuse. The complaint alleges that the employee was subjected to non-consensual acts, threats to his career and even drugging. However, Hajidini has strongly denied all charges, calling them false and baseless. JPMorgan Chase too has backed its executive, saying an internal probe found no evidence to support the claims. The case remains under legal scrutiny, with both sides presenting sharply contrasting versions of the events. With that, let's take a look at the biggest claims against Lorna Hajidini. Rana has made allegations against his former colleague Lorna Hajidini here, and these include explicit threats for promotion and social sabotage of Chirayu Rana, the victim here. He said there was repeated racial slurs that were targeted on him. He was called a brown Indian boy, Arab boy, toy, words like that. There was forced sexual acts while victim cried and verbally was abused, causing him distress. Now, he's also claimed that there were demands for sexual favors in the workplace, including explicit propositions. Rana has made severe allegations, including the use of intoxicants, drugs, to coerce compliance in sexual acts. 35-year-old Rana making those claims against his former colleague. He also said that he frequently made statements like, "I owe you," after victim refused to go out for drinks with the colleague. Severe allegations, including being drugged with Viagra and those kinds of intoxicants and drugs. In fact, we are now getting a breaking news update on this. A post on social media X has now gained major attention amid this controversy. An X post from an account named Braden Cooks stated, "This is my mom. She works at JPMorgan Chase and has recently been slandered in the news by a disgruntled ex-employee. My mother Lorna is loving and has always put family first and taught me the importance of respect, hard work and standing up for what's right." It includes a photo of the young boy with Hajidini. Remember, viewers, JPMorgan Chase Executive Director Lorna Hajidini, of course, accused of sexual harassment, assault and coercion in a lawsuit that was filed by Chirayu Rana, former male employee. The plaintiff, proceeding under the pseudonym John Doe earlier, had filed the complaint in New York County Supreme Court on April 27th, alleging he was forced to be Lorna Hajidini's sex slave. In fact, let's go across to social activist Brinda Adige, who's joining us on this. Brinda, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, the case opening up a Pandora's box. But the question that comes to one's mind is how companies can have a stronger policy to prevent this kind of peer-level harassment, given that Rana and Hajidini were on the same level, more or less. There was not direct reporting. And what gaps are there that needs to be filled?
I think most companies have pretty strong policies, especially against sexual harassment. But many of the companies also have policies against ethnic and racial discrimination, gender-sensitive policies, and things of that nature. The question here is, are these being followed strictly? Are the management totally involved to ensure that any such behavior that is discriminatory in nature, any such behavior that is sexual in nature, is taken up seriously if the complaint is given by somebody not of the US native. So, these are questions that we've heard time and again. Racial discrimination is rampant across the USA, irrespective of the positions or the designations people may be holding in the given company. And we also know that many of them do not want to report, especially at the levels at which they might be at a senior level. Those complaints don't get very seriously addressed, especially one, if it is against a US native. Two, if it is against a woman. So the assumption is that women will not indulge in something like this.
Yes.
The assumption is also, women are good mothers and good sisters and good wives. No,
How can
all of
they
this
better
isn't done.
support male employees in cases of such sexual harassment, especially because there's a lot of stigma attached or even disbelief, like you said, that a male could be subjected to something like that?
See, first and foremost, if they are having a gender-inclusive and gender-sensitive policy, it doesn't matter whether the person who's making a complaint is a male, female, or a trans person. Now, does the management, does the internal committee in those companies, are they really so strong that they can look at it in a fashion that is neutral and they are not biased and colored by the race that the person who's making the complaint is or against? Because racial discrimination, I think, supersedes all the other complaints. And we've heard of this time and again. And it is across. I'm not talking about it only in companies, but it is across in all, institutions, schools, colleges. We have seen this time and again. And the question now what we must ask is, how is it that management get away with something like this? But the other side of it, what we are looking into this particular case, is that the complainant has also not corroborated everything that he has made a complaint about.
And he has
In fact,
refused
there
to
has been
participate in the internal investigation. So everything that we are talking right now is on the assumption that everything that Chirayu Rana has said is true. It's subject to investigation, of course, and I think a final word can be given only once that investigation is complete. But for now, Brinda, thank you very much for joining me. And viewers, with that, we move on to take a very quick break. Stay tuned to Newsx.